Hello, and welcome to the first podcast episode of Belongs to the Shadows. I'm your creepy host, Jamie Bennett. For those of you who do not know me, let me introduce myself briefly, as brief as I can be. I used to be an on-air personality for WQUB 90.3 FM, where I also had a music show called The Jam Session. I did that for a while until I graduated from Quincy University with a bachelor's degree in mass communications. I did recording technologies while I was there, and I was also a guitarist for the jazz ensemble. I did several interviews, including one with Fresh Air's Terry Gross, which is on NPR, of course. I also did an interview with recording artist Kevin DeGraw and the lead singer of the band Shamrock, just to name a few. I have always been interested in doing radio from a very young age. I used to pretend to be downtown Julie Brown and record songs off the radio and introduce them like I was her. I idolized her. I wanted to grow up to be her and introduce bands and musicians and all that wonderful stuff. Yeah. And also, Belongs to the Shadows have had a few episodes, show episodes, but I wanted to bring it back in podcast form, so that's why I'm calling this the first episode. You can catch Belongs to the Shadows, older episodes of that show, on Cosmos Creative Television YouTube page, as well as my studio page, Star Raven Studios, on Facebook as well as YouTube. Pardon my voice. I've had a little bit of the allergies going on, the allergy season, and I do live in Georgia. It can't make its mind up. Pollen has been so bad this year. Our cars and our houses have been turned yellow and green from pollen. So, there's that. Anyhow, what this show is about, if you can't guess from the title, Belongs to the Shadows, is about haunted history as well as anything paranormal, creepy, spooky, or just plain interesting. I don't cover murder mystery very often, but with haunted history does come murder and mystery. So, without further ado, this episode is going to be about Camille Montfort. I'm going to try really hard to pronounce things accurately and to the best of my knowledge. I am infamous for mispronouncing things, and I am infamous for going, yeah, all those things. But I wanted to there it goes. But I wanted to get back into doing a podcast. So without further ado, I'm going to be getting my research and what I'm going to be telling you about today from the good old Google. If you don't know, look it up on Google. Not sponsored by Google, by the way. Anyhow, here we go. So this episode is about Camille Montfort. And where I'm getting what I'm about to read you, in quotations, by the way, it was published 2 years ago, and it was published by Victor Amaha. Ama? Hopefully I pronounced that right. I am sorry if I butchered your name. Anyhow, you can find it on vocal.media/history/Camille-Montfort-the 1896-legendary-tale-of-the-Amazonian-vampire. Okay. I will also put the link below. It probably would have been easier to do it that way, but I have to cite my things correctly, and I need to give credit where credit is due. I would have never heard about this piece of haunted history if I didn't get on Facebook. Oddly enough, one of the groups that I was in, somebody had shared a brief history of Camille into that group, and I thought that'd make a really good podcast episode. So here we go. In 1896, Belém became rich by selling Amazonian rubber to the world, making the farmers there overnight millionaires who built their rich mansions with European materials, while their wives, as well as their daughters, sent their clothes to be washed in the old continent and imported mineral water from London for their baths. The Teatro da Paz was the center of cultural life in the Amazon, with concerts by European artists, and among them, one especially caught the public's attention: a beautiful French opera singer by the name of Camille Montfort. So, Camille lived between the years of 1869 to 1896. Or, no, it's saying that she was an opera singer around that time frame. I apologize. See, I'm telling you. Who provoked indescribable desires in the rich gentlemen of the region, and atrocious jealousy in their wives, due to her great, masterful beauty. Camille Montfort also caused indignation for her behavior, which was free from the social conventions of her time. This reminds me of when women, would wear dresses. They were supposed to wear dresses, but some of them would put on pants. And that was pretty risque during those times. Legend has it that she was seen half naked, dancing in the streets of Belém, while refreshing herself in the afternoon rain. Now, what's wrong with that? What is wrong with that? I enjoy dancing under the rain, but not naked, mind you. Her solitary night walks also aroused curiosity when she was seen in her long, black, and vaporous dresses under the full moon on the banks of the Guajara River towards the Agape das Almas. Whew. Man, I cannot pronounce things sometimes. Soon rumors began to circulate around her, and malicious comments were made. It also was said that she was the lover of Francisco Bonanja between the years of 1872 to 1938, who had brought her from Europe, and that he bathed her with expensive imported champagnes in the bathtub of his mansion. It was also said that she had been attacked by vampirism in London due to her paleness and sickly appearance, and that she had brought this great evil to the Amazon, having a mysterious craving for human blood to the point of hypnotizing young women with her voice in her concerts, making them fall asleep in her dressing room so that mysterious lady could reach their necks. Curiously, this coincided with reports of fainting in the theater during her concerts, which were simply explained as the effect of the strong emotions that her music produced in the audience members. It was also said that she had the power to communicate with the dead and materialize their spirits into dense ethereal mists of ectoplasmic materials expelled from her own body in the medium mystic sessions. These were undoubtedly the first manifestations in the Amazon of what would later be called spiritualism, practiced in mysterious cults in Balim places, such as the Palacete Peniho. Palacete Peniho. Hopefully I pronounced that right. At the end of 1896, a terrible cholera outbreak devastated the city of Belém, turning Camille Montfort into one of its victims, who was buried in the Cemetery of Solitude. Ooh, that sounds ominous. Cemetery of Solitude. Today, her tomb is still there, covered in slime, moss, and dry leaves, under a huge mango tree that makes her grave sink into the darkness of its shadow, only illuminated by rays of the sun that penetrate through the green leaves. It is neoclassical mausoleum. It is a neoclassical mausoleum, with a door closed by an old rusty lock, from which a white marble female bust can be seen on the wide lid of the abandoned tomb, and attached to the wall a small framed image of a woman dressed in black. On her tombstone you can read the inscription, "Here lies Camilla Maria Montfort, 1869 to 1896. So that is the years that she was alive. Or was it? The voice that captivated the world. She embedded fear and sheer power to her subordinates by selling rubber to the people of Europe and the world at large. But when are in her home, she always gave you a new kind of fear. But there are still those who say today that her tomb is empty, that her death and burial were nothing more than illusion, an act to cover up her case of vampirism. The Camille Montfort still lives in Europe, now at the age of 154. Could you imagine that? Like, seriously? If it were true, I'm not saying it's not true. Like, weird things happen. But could you imagine that? Like, that's crazy. 154. And it would make sense for a gorgeous opera singer with a voice that's so mesmerizing to be a vampire. Now, gives you something to think about. So I'm going to try to find another website. For some reason, it took me to a fortune teller. I'm supposed to pick my card. Whew, that's ominous. I don't think I want to pick my card right now. Ooh, scary. Anyways, she was called the Amazon vampire. Let's see what other history I can find about her. Like I said, I had never heard of her until it came across one of the groups. Like, somebody had shared it to one of the groups on Facebook that I'm a part of. And I joined that group because it seemed like a good place to get podcast ideas for Belongs to the Shadows. And if any of you have any ideas, like any stories that you want me to research and share on these podcasts, please leave a comment below. I am always looking for ideas to share. I have covered Nosferatu on my show. I have covered basically Vlad the Impaler. The Historian, not sponsored by them, by the way, is one of my favorite books. I absolutely love The Historian. I think that it is an interesting take on Dracula, and I really appreciate the artistry of it. This is going to sound terrible. I am a huge fan of Dracula and vampire lore, but what I'm a bigger fan of is Frankenstein. I love anything that has to do with Frankenstein. Frankenstein, Frankie, however you want to pronounce it, Frankenstein's monster. There's that argument. I am a huge fan of Frankenstein. Let's see. It seems like they don't have like a whole lot of history about her. But you can also find some more about her, pretty much the same article, and it will show you pictures. I will try to insert pictures for the video viewing audience of this podcast so that you can get an idea of what she looked like. She is very, very gorgeous, and I can see why people would think that she is a vampire or was a vampire. She may still be out there. She may be 155 years old by now. I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, strange things happen in the world. But this is on Quora, and you can find it under Amazon Facts. And I'm not going to read all that out to you. I will link it in the bio so that you all can read it for yourselves and probably pronounce the words better than I can. Yeah, this is pretty much the same article. Is what I read you all go from Vocal magazine. Let me see. It's sad that they don't have like a whole lot of history about her. Like, you would think that there would be more history about her, but there's not. Let's see if this is a different article. I am researching this while I am talking to you all, if you can't tell. But I like to do it that way because I'm reading it for the first time as I'm telling you. Probably not a good idea. I could probably pronounce things a lot better if I looked at it beforehand. But that's okay. This is organic, as they say. This is a little different. She was young. Camille Montfort was young. She was beautiful. She was enchanted, and she enchanted audience with her voice. She was called the Amazonian vampire because of her pale features and late night walks. This all is in quotations, and this is Vocal Media as well. Vocal.media/history/Camille-Montfort. And I will try to link that down below as well. But at least I cited it vocally on here. It seems like Vocal magazine's pretty good with their resources, so I trust them. So she was a very beautiful young woman, and she was called the Amazonian vampire because of her pale features and late night walks. That is strange. Probably during that time era, very strange for a female to be unescorted by a gentleman late at night. Rich gentlemen desired her, and their wives, of course, were atrociously jealous of her beauty. She's very beautiful. When you see the picture, you're gonna see why. She was Camille Montfort. Camille was born in 1869 in France, and her father was Henry Montfort, and her mother was Marie Montfort. Her father, Henry, was a French diplomat and the consulate general of France in Belém, the capital state of Para in Brazil. Her mother, Marie, was a French aristocrat who related to the royal family of Orleans. It's safe to say that Camille enjoyed a privileged upbringing, and in 1876 the family moved to Brazil. Camille's two older brothers, Louis and Charles, followed their father into diplomatic career. The family were Roman Catholic. Not much is recorded about her education, but with this kind of lifestyle, Camille was sure to have a governess learning about the Brazilian culture and its history. Camille never married, which is a surprise as she was very beautiful. Standing at 5 feet 5 inches tall and having a decent waist, many admired her free spirit, and her independent aura. However, despite all of this, Camille lived a short life. Interesting but short. Camille lived by her own rules. I can appreciate that. I can appreciate somebody marching to the beat of their own drum. I try to be that way. She had a notorious love life, having affairs with married men, including barons, politicians, journalists, and diplomats, just to name a few. No doubt, with her father being the consulate general of France, Camille's world was opened up to meet many people, men and women alike. Camille preferred her life in the theater, being an outstanding opera singer, attracting large audiences with her performances. This profession gave her freedom to have her own luxurious lifestyle, although her financial net worth was not recorded. Vampire. As very little is actually known about Camille. Her life has been open to much speculation and mystery. She has become a subject of fascination and curiosity. The tales have emerged over the years make us believe that Camille was in fact a unique and interesting person. Vampire. It was believed, for example, that this powerful opera singer had the habit of indulging in champagne baths or blood blasts. People believed that Camille would dance through the streets under the afternoon rain. These stories got out of hand, however, because people started to believe that this young woman was a vampire and that Camille would hypnotize her unsuspecting victims with her mesmerizing voice. Her pale complexion only encouraged these wild rumors, which were possibly spread by the jealous wives of the husbands she was said to have had affairs with. Well, yeah, I mean, the hen house, they're going to spread rumors. Hello? It is true that people would faint during her performances, but instead of her hypnotizing the person, it was probably because of the strong emotions that her singing would evoke in the audience, like I said in the last article. People believed that Camille could communicate with the dead and materialize their spirits in dense ethereal, I can't say that word, ethereal mist of ectoplasmic matter, which the young woman would expel from her body during a medium mystic session. And undoubtedly, this was the start of the spiritualistic movement in Brazil, which was practiced in the palaces of Belém by mysterious cults. Whatever the truth is, there was an outbreak of cholera by the end of 1896, which swept through the city of Belém, and it took Camille's young life. Camille was only 25 years of age. That's awful. When she died, and she was laid in the Cemetery of Solitude in Bot-sur-Mer, France. During her young life, Camille was not only a very talented opera singer who studied classical music at the conservatory. Yay, Gold Star Conservatory di Paris. But she could also speak Italian, German, English, and Portuguese. She learned to play the piano, violin, and the guitar. When she was performing, Camille traveled Europe and performed in several theaters and saloons. Her talent and beauty became legendary for the time in which she lived, which was very short, and that's very sad. She had an independent and rebellious spirit. I appreciate that. And dressing in the most fashionable clothes of the time. Some of the dresses were thought to be quite provocative. Camille would smoke, ride horses, and drive the newly invented motor car. Her lovers showered her with gifts, but Camille never settled down with any one of them. Camille Montfort's legend has inspired many works of art, literature, novels, poems, as well as songs, paintings, and even the odd film or two. Even today, Camille is revered by people who visit her grave to mark their respect for the Amazonian vampire. Yeah, wow. That's interesting. I'm going to try to give you all a list of like poems that were done about her, movies that were done about her, because they did mention that. And I'm interested in seeing what movies were done about her and what paintings were done about her. I will try to insert that into this podcast. So I had to take a brief break because it only lets me record 30 minutes at a time. I'm looking for a new streaming platform. I'm looking for a better way to record my audio. The struggles of a struggling artist. I don't know. Anyhow, here is the rest of The Legend of Camille Montfort. Now, I'm getting this from www.fabledcollective.com/The Mysterious Camille Montfort, The Untold Legend of the Amazon Vampire. The Mysterious Camille Montfort, The Untold Legend of the Amazon Vampire. It was published by, I'm looking for the publisher because I want to give credit where credit is due. It has Vanessa K. Eccles. She's the host and guide. So I'm going to assume that it was published by her for the Fabled Collective. I am going to share a link to this page because they also have a podcast as well. And this is not sponsored by them. I just stumbled across this page when I did my research, and this is awesome. So please check out their podcast as well. So it talks about the lush streets of Belém, Brazil in 1896. They were alive with the sound of opulence and growth, thanks to the booming rubber trade. Now, I had talked about the rubber trade in the last one, and that rubber trade is what made the farmers in that area millionaires overnight. It used to be a once quiet town that was nestled along the Amazon. Belém transferred into a city of grand mansions and European luxury, as the newfound wealth breathed life into every corner of Belém. Among the glittering extravagance stood a figure shrouded in both beauty and mystery. Camille Montfort. Here we go again. The woman would forever be known as the Amazon vampire, and it's because of her beauty, her mystery, taking walks at night unescorted, her rebellion, and being a gorgeous opera singer. She was born in France in 1869, which I had mentioned last segment. She first arrived in Belém as a celebrated opera singer. So that's really cool. I know an opera singer. I think that is amazing to be an opera singer. I don't have the vocal range to be able to do that, and I appreciate anyone who can do that. It's amazing and incredible and just astounding. Her allure, striking presence, and disregard for societal conventions, there it goes with the rebellion again, turned heads and sparked rumors, of course, wherever she went. Not only did she enchant people with her mesmerizing performances, but she was also whisperings to have had walked the moonlit streets dressed in flowing black gowns, delighting in the sensual freedom of tropical rain, dancing half naked, of course, in the streets. Her boldness only fueled these rumors. Why can't a woman be herself? That's a different podcast. A different podcast for a different time. But women were not allowed to be bold, especially during that time era. So it was considered to be very, very rebellious to be bold and to walk the streets unescorted. So Camille's beauty, it was said, bewitched men and made her a target of jealousy for the women of these men, the wives. Some spoke of her affair with Francisco Bolonija. I probably butchered that. Francisco Bolonija, a wealthy local figure known to lavish her in champagne. Here we go with the champagne baths again. Reflecting the indulgent culture of the rubber barons. Yet, as her fame grew, so too did the darker legends that surrounded her. Could you imagine that? She was 25 when she died. And she died from something horrible at a very, very young age. Granted, I don't blame the women for being jealous. And I don't, blame them for, causing rumors, I guess. But a woman can't be a woman. And a lot of times when you are a female of beauty and being a young female that is single, that is absolutely gorgeous, and an opera singer nonetheless, rumors are going to happen anyway, because for whatever reason, you can't be a gorgeous, talented female without being ridiculed. And I think it's really, really sad. That's just my opinion. Her pale complexion and strange habits led to the rumors that she had fallen victim to a sinister affliction, vampirism. I can see why they would say that about her. Of course, the people of Bellum began to claim that her captivating voice did more than stir emotions of those who heard her performances. It was said to mesmerize her audience, particularly young women, leading them to swoon and fall unconscious, providing Camille with the perfect opportunity to prey upon them, and what some attributed to the power of her music, others saw as evidence of something darker. So, yeah, I mean, that's interesting. But do they have the names of any of these supposed victims? Did any of these people who passed out in her audience go missing? Did any of them wind up dead? Did they find them deceased? So many questions. Of course, adding to her mystique were the rumors of supernatural abilities. Camille was believed to have dabbed in early spiritualism, conducting secretive seances where she communicated with the dead. Witnesses also claimed she could summon spirits through ectoplasm, and her connection to the spirit world was seen as both fascinating and frightening. Some even linked her to the occult practices that would later flourish in the shadows of Baleem's grand estates. But in late 1896, the city's enchantress fell to a more earthly curse, cholera. Camille Montfort's life was cut short by the outbreak that ravaged Baleem. She was laid to rest in this is sad, Solitude Cemetery, or what is it called? Oh, they were saying Solitude Cemetery in the other ones, but this is Soledad Cemetery. That makes more sense. Man, if it was called the Cemetery of Solitude, that's very ominous. Maybe I'm going to call it the Cemetery of Solitude. Sounds so much better. Her tomb marked by a neoclassical mausoleum. The grave shadowed by a towering mango tree. I love mangoes. Bears her image in a black and white marble bust, forever preserving her ethereal beauty. Yay, I said it, ethereal. Her epitaph reads, "The voice that captivated the world." That's so sad. That makes me so sad that she died at the age of 25. She had a whole life ahead of her. However, the legends have a way of enduring beyond the grave. Some claim that Camille's death was nothing more than a ruse. It was fabricated. Fake news. A means to escape public scrutiny and hide her vampiric nature. Whispers of sightings in Europe persist, with believers arguing that she still roams the world at over 150 years later. That's incredible. The story of Camille Montfort, the Amazon vampire, remains a mystery, remains alluring, and it's a blend of the truth and myth. Was she a woman ahead of her time? A daring performer, a rebellious female who captured the imagination of the city? Was she a legend that would endure? Or was there something darker behind the striking beauty and amazing voice? A secret that continues to haunt the fog-laden banks of Guajara River. Perhaps society will never know for certain. But as long as the rain continues to fall in the city of Baleem, and the moon continues to to be a light, to continue to light up the Guajara River, the legend of Camille Montfort will continue to linger and continually to stir in the shadows of Baleem's history. I hope that you all have enjoyed this episode, and the episodes won't always be an hour long. Sometimes they'll be 30 minutes long, sometimes they'll be an hour long, and maybe even sometimes they'll be over an hour long. It just depends on the subject matter, and it depends on the material. I'm going to do my best. Man, I can't even talk today. Wow. My best. There we go. To include all of the material that I read from today so that you can get the right pronunciations of things. You can see it for yourself. Also, I do not expect tips. I never expect tips. But they are appreciated. I am doing a fundraiser for the local animal shelter, And what that means is I am trying to come up with the funds to adopt a cat from the local animal shelter. This cat is in need. It has been there for a little while. She's over a year old, and it kind of goes along with Belongs to the Shadows. She is a black cat. Unfortunately, black cats are misunderstood. A lot of times they're the ones that you see hit in the road. A lot of times they're the ones that you see abandoned. And they're the ones that don't get adopted as much from the animal shelters. I don't know why. I've had black cats. There's nothing wrong with black cats, but I am trying to adopt this black cat. She's in need of a home. Her name goes by Salt, and of course, I'll be changing that. But anyhow, I'm in hopes of getting enough money to at least adopt one of the cats at the local animal shelter and give them a home. They're in need of love, and they're in need of a home, and pretty much all of my animals except for my darling Maple are rescue animals. I fully believe in adoption, and I fully believe in giving older animals a home. A lot of times people want kittens, they want puppies, and that happens a lot around Christmas time. And then, when they get bored of them, what happens? They get ditched. They get dropped off at animal shelters, and they're no longer wanted. This animal shelter is it's supposed to be a no-kill animal shelter, but they're getting very, very overpopulated, and they do need help. So wherever you live, wherever you're from, and you want to donate to a good cause, always ask your animal shelters, your local animal shelters, what they need. Sometimes they need cleaning supplies. Sometimes they need food. Sometimes they need soft food. They need blankets. I know it sounds crazy, but they need bedding. Sometimes they just need funds to be able to support these unfortunate souls who got ditched and abandoned for whatever reason, or got confiscated from a home that wasn't taking care of them. I've seen that numerous times, and it breaks my heart every single time. So if you want to donate to a good cause, donate to your local animal shelter. Um, like I said, I don't expect donations. I don't expect tips. I enjoy doing these shows. I enjoy providing you with entertainment by mispronouncing things and stuttering. But it's all good. It's an organic podcast. That's what it's about. You stumble, you fall, you pick yourself back up. That's the way of podcasting. I don't expect donations. I don't expect tips, but they are very much appreciated. And when I'm not trying to save a lost soul from the animal shelter, I do appreciate tips because it helps me update my equipment. It helps me to become more and more professional so that I can continue to do these podcasts. Today happens to be my birthday. I'm just going to throw that out there. Today is my birthday. I was born on Memorial Day 45 years ago. And my birthday doesn't land on Memorial Day very often, so that's why I wanted to do the first episode of Belongs to the Shadows today. So, like I said, I hope you all have enjoyed this podcast, and if you have any ideas, anything that you want me to research, you want me to talk about, any supernatural stories, anything, feel free to drop a comment below. please like and subscribe. I would appreciate it. I am going to be looking for a different platform, so I might end up on Spotify. I'm hoping to get this show going, and I'm hoping to put it on Spotify as well as iHeartRadio and those other channels. I've been looking into a streaming platform that is different than this one. This one has been loyal to me and has served me well over the years, but I need to branch out. I need to branch out from Facebook and YouTube, and I need to be on other platforms. But I hope you all are having a good evening, good night, happy Memorial Day, and until next time, stay creepy.